Right. It says we're live. I can
Says it,
hear
yeah.
it. Yeah. Now there you've got that feedback bit. Did you hear it?
I heard it, yeah. It seems to be when you talk. So I don't know what's causing it.
Yeah, surprising because I'm not using a mobile. I'm using like a little tablet thing. Right. If we just hang on a second, because I don't know if it's instant. It should be on Facebook and YouTube. So I'm going to see. Oh, there's Susie. Hi, Susie. Thank you for joining us. So I know Facebook is working. Just want to see if YouTube is working. Is there anyone watching from YouTube, please? Just so I can check. It should be streaming to. I don't know why I bother streaming to my own Tracy Daughter of Leonard page. Hi UK Awareness, because it is so shadow banned. It's just terrible. Like
Yeah.
really, it's worse than it is when I do a live on Fighting for Justice. That's not so bad because I still manage to get out there. But hi Stuart. I don't know if you
Depending on
can
people
see.
sharing.
Hi Tracy. I don't know if you can see the comments. Can you see them?
I can't know. What do I have to do to see the comments?
You should be able, because you're in StreamYard, they should be showing up on the right hand side. Hi, Danny, Louise, Bev, Louise from Glasgow. Thank you for joining. Hi, Heather. I don't know if you're on Facebook, Shane. Thank you. Hi, Vicky. I don't know if there's anyone here from YouTube. Stuart, is there any way you can check the YouTube channel? Hang on. I might be able to check it on my phone, actually. Asking someone else when I think I can do it myself. Sorry, everyone. I'm just checking that it is streaming. Oh, yes. Checking that it is streaming. Right, that's it. It's fine. Right. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Ray. Thank you for your kind words. Hi, Medusa. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I don't always say, can you share the video? I just leave that up for people to decide if they're happy to share it. Thank you, Leo. This video, but it's a video that my close friends have been asking me to do for weeks, and I've been putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. Call it my pride, call it it's a difficult thing for me, in the way I was brought up and the type of personality and the type of woman I am, that I struggle to do it. So I asked Mark, and Mark's become a close friend of mine over the last few years, and he has been someone that's been on that journey with me. He's been in the background. He knows a lot of my life. So I asked Mark if he could come on tonight and sort of do this with me. Hi, Lucy. Hi, Vicky. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And it's regarding the fundraising that we now have to do for the boys. And it's become, I'll use your word, Mark, that you said earlier, it's become a necessity now. It's a necessity. I didn't, after 2018 and everything that went on there with regards to fundraising and the trolls and everything else I faced, originally, I didn't want to fundraise in the beginning. I asked one of the other families if they would do the I can't remember if it was GoFundMe or what the other one is, if they would do it, and they wouldn't do it. So that then left me to do it. I was left with no choice. And I wouldn't share it. I think I put it once on Fight for Justice. I wouldn't share it. People knew I wouldn't do that just because of the way I am. So other people did share it. The second GoFundMe got closed down. And I know some of you already know this story already. Some of this. So the second GoFundMe got closed down. People got their money back. 22nd of December 2018 was the last time we officially raised any funds. And Brian the Lion from Millwall was threatened with arrest at the game of Charlton versus Gillingham. After that, Brian and some other ladies went out one more time. I wasn't there to fundraise at a Millwall game, and that is it. And then I stopped it. I said, no, I'm not fundraising anymore. Now, I don't mind being called names, but it did affect me because of the way I am and the fact that I didn't want to fundraise in the beginning. People accusing me of stealing all the funds, shaking buckets, and then I've disappeared. How people could say I've disappeared when I'm still here 4 years later fighting. But I had to face all of that cruel, wicked, and evil things said, and that's what they are. And yes, of course, if you're going to speak out and you're fighting against the system and you're fighting against the police, of course they're going to stick trolls on. Of course they're going to want to destroy your credibility. I've had many things said about me, but the specific thing about fundraising, because of the way I was brought up, didn't want to do it in the first place. I realised that I allowed it to affect what we was doing, and I should never have stopped trying to fundraise. I should never have stopped, and I realise that now. Mark, anything you want to say before? Because you know me, I can carry on talk.
Yeah, I know. I was waiting for a break, for a breaking. But look, I felt this way for a long time, Trace. And you know, as I've said to you, you know, I've never tried to tell you how to conduct your campaign. I never would. You know, I wouldn't be so imposing. You know, but I always felt that it was a back down on your part, and you was bowing pretty much to the state, because it was the state agents that were attacking you, you know. And what else would they be? Them kind of people that want to pick on a mother whose child was murdered along with 2 other children who she knew, you know. Who wants to make that their argument or their fight? Only the state. So anyone who's coming at you, in my opinion, is working on behalf of the state, who's attacking you relentlessly. You know, someone, you know, I'm not talking about someone who says the odd thing they just might not understand, or they might not have an idea of, you know, what's really happened here, you know, what's happened to those boys, and the terrible grief you suffered in trying to fight your campaign for justice for the boys. So I've got absolutely zilch respect for those people that have attacked you. Okay, absolutely zilch. And I don't care about them. I really don't. You know, they are nothing but cowards. Anyone who does that is nothing but a coward. Anyone who works for the state as a traitor to their own, you couldn't be more cowardly, you know, in my opinion. So I'm relieved in a sense that you've had the courage now and the insight to understand that you was fighting it. Perhaps not, I wouldn't say fighting it. You stopped fighting it on every front. You have to fight it on every front. We've seen now just what it's like to be up against the state. Yeah, the people that are close to you have been attacked. We've seen MI6 go miles to arrest people that are close to you when somebody else has actually committed offence against them. We have MI6 dealing with every court case. What the hell are they involved with our every court case for? If we get a parking ticket, we've got MI6 knocking on the door. This is really about the state and the agents they're sending at us. So I'll stick my 2 fingers up to them, you know, and I'm really glad, because, you know, and say, you know, you was just living a normal life. We use the word normal before all this happened to you. You was running your own business. You're an intelligent, smart woman who was getting by and looking after her family. You didn't ask for this, okay? You asked for none of this. It was wrought upon you. And when you went to get justice, then you started to see just what the state was capable of, the kind of people they send at you, the kind of shills that are out there, just how flooded any movement that starts up, any grassroots movement out there, just how severely it comes under attack and infiltration. We've had the worst of it, and we've all been dragged through the courts. You know, some of these cases that we've seen, it would never have happened. People wouldn't have been arrested in the first place. I'm not talking about me. You know, if I've been arrested once or twice, I think it was for nothing, and it shouldn't have been. Once or twice, it's been my own fault where I've been in a situation, and you know, I should have acted differently. That's why I've got a court case now, but that'll all be done and dusted soon. I'm not worried about that, you know. But I am worried about you, your well-being, and I'm glad that you've made this move, that you've made this decision. You know, everyone's been suffering at the hands of the state, especially in the last 2 years. We've really seen them show their hand with their authoritarianism, and just how far they're willing to go to get their way, to make us obey. You know, basically. And there's a lot happening, which I don't want to go into because that's another thing. I just really wanted to talk about what you're going through and what you've been going through, because I've seen how you've lived, Tracy, you know, and these people that want to talk about you and talk about the cases if they know anything, I've seen the evidence, okay? I've seen how you live, and I've seen how difficult your circumstances have been. I've seen them take your business off you, because when you had your own offices, they were owned by the council, you rented them off the council, it was easy for them to take that off you and ruin you, because you then didn't have the finances to restart your own private business and rent your own offices privately, and you needed that kind of space. So they ruined you financially from the start, and that tells me they don't want you to have any money, and there's a reason for that. They need you to be financially broken. So all the more reason why you need to get funding, because it isn't even for you. When you think about it, it's for those boys that were murdered, you know, and it's nothing to do with your pride, although you've felt that it is all along. It's not anything to do with your pride. 3 boys were murdered. Fight it any way you can, and don't give a absolute toss what anyone has to say or think. It's nothing to do with them. And if it is, and if they want to make it their business, then they work for the state. Just draw a line under it, like you always have done. You know, you've never responded to these people. We've never plotted or schemed against anyone and gone out to hurt anyone. You know, we've had our arguments where it's been put on us and attacked. I think you've always conducted yourself brilliantly through all that, you know. But I think with you, people, rather than attack you to your face, they do it all sneakily online, and by going around behind your back and saying bad things about you to people. I've seen this happen time and time again, you know, and none of that could affect me. No one can tell me anything about you, you know, because from day one we got on well. When I first ever went out with the Ella Vest, we got on well, and we quickly became friends, and in time we became very close. And I saw your plight, you know, I saw everything you've had to go through since that time. You know, I never knew your son, I never knew any of those boys, but I've seen what you're going through, and I've seen the torment you've suffered, and I've seen your family suffering too. You know, they don't talk about it, but I see they suffer. You know, I know when people are struggling, and this is why I say F them all. Yeah, do whatever you have to do, fight in every battlefront. And if there are people out there good enough to back you and good enough to support you financially, because this isn't for you, you're only going to purely use it for a court case. If you can build a court case, it's not going to help you with your living. I know you wouldn't do that. I know you've got way too much decency and respect for anyone who's going to offer, because we all know we're coming into hyperinflation. We all know we're suffering. Everyone's going to suffer in the immediate. We don't know to what extent. That depends on if there's any sensible or intelligent intervention in what's happening in the world at the moment, because right now it's just a mess and no one can really know what's going to happen. But we do see inflation, and we knew that for a long time. And in a conversation a long time ago, we thought they'd bring war into it as well, because there's always wars playing a part in everything that's happening in the world, isn't there? Now, I'm the one going on now, but it's a subject that I feel strongly about, you know. And like I say, I was never going to impose myself on you and tell you how I think you should conduct your campaign. But sometimes I felt like shaking you and saying, you know, you've got to do this, you know. Yeah, but you can be stubborn, Trace, as well. And you just don't, you know, you don't get through to you easily, you know, which is another thing that's good, you know, that you can be thick-skinned to some, you know, in some ways, but it's not always bad. And maybe I should have just said it and maybe been more insistent that you do whatever you have to do, because they don't want you to have any finances to be able to fight this. And it might be one of the only ways in which you can in the long run, you know. There's not much else we can do. We've campaigned on the streets. We've done all the footwork, you know, when you ran for office that time, and all the protest, we've literally been on hundreds, you know, and every time we've just been kicked in the face and you've been treated badly. So hit them where it hurts if you can. You know, I'm not saying that any court case will necessarily be successful, but it will bring it to light at the very least, and it will expose a lot at the very least, you know. And there is a chance you could win, you know, and what a victory that would be, because laws would have to change if you could win this case. It would make a massive difference to a lot of people, a lot of families that have gone through similar, and it'd make, I think, in the long run, it'd make changes that will protect children better in the future. Do you see what I'm saying about the importance of?
Am I still here?
This is in the sense that you lost your son, but the changes that we need to make it concern all children, you know, and it might be a tall order. We've got a hell of a battle on our hands, but I just think it's one we need to fight, regardless of, let's not fear losing, You know, let's just crack on and fight it, because some things you just have to fight, you know. So let's get back to it. I hope that people are good enough to donate, and I hope, you know, I know that you wouldn't use a single penny of that on any kind of self-help, because I've seen you go without. I've seen you live on eggs and stuff, you know, to feed your children, to make sure they've got everything they need, even though some of them are older now, they've got grandchildren, and everyone's, you know, going through what they're going through. And you've done so much self-sacrifice, you know, but you need a bit of help. So accept a bit of help if it's out there, you know. And I'm glad you're starting to think that way. That's all, you know.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, just to say to Medusa, thank you for your comments. Although I've been down that path, and that path is not correct. I've been there. I've done it. It held no water whatsoever. And it's not something I want to discuss right now. I know you're trying to help, but like I said, I've been down that path, and it isn't the correct path. That's the path that they want you to believe is correct, to take you down a dead end, because I've been there. So thank you. Thank you for your comments, everyone. Hi, Harry. Thank you, Tracy. Just going on some of the things Mark said. Obviously, I have never done a live ever saying what they've done to me in the background to try and get me to stop speaking out. Obviously, as a mother, I will not stop speaking out. My son was murdered, and George and Harry were murdered. That car that night deliberately aimed at them. The media lied and the police lied. Now, what I will say with regarding the court, that I actually got the documentation, what was sent to the appeal court. And I can prove that documentation that the appeal court saw. I can't tell you the documentation or the disclosure of what the Old Bailey saw, because we have never been given that. They refused. 4 years later, still I'm fighting for disclosure. Still now. And so I don't know what the Old Bailey had, but the appeal court, I have their documentation. So I actually have what the appeal court judges saw as evidence. And I can prove that they had fake pictures with fake timestamps. They didn't have the spot. They had the road, but they didn't have the spot where our boys were murdered. They had remarks in there from the collision investigator that does not match his report. Yeah, retype versions. Now, all this stuff came from the police. That's where it came from. That's where my aim is, the police. They're the ones that are meant to do the investigation. But from that moment or before, and I believe it was before. I don't believe it was just at that moment. Yeah. They're the ones that spent the time covering it up. And not just covering it up, they created a CCTV and using the media, an event, a description of an event that didn't happen like that at all, even in the CCTV. And we have so much stuff that we can prove, but what changed my mind with regard to the fundraising was these pieces of documentation that we need for court is just cost thousands of pounds, thousands. But of course, they've done it that way. So the average Joe, so to speak, can't fight them. So they can do anything they want to the working class and the poor. Any miscarriage of justice, anything, murder, and it can be covered up. Children that are abused can be ignored, because when their parents try and fight back, there's no legal aid available for them. Every avenue they go down, from the MP to the senior coroner, if there's a death involved, like there was in ours, to the senior coroner, to the CPS, to the Attorney General, they just close those doors. And sadly, we live in a world where money speaks. Where money speaks. And unfortunately, I've come to the point where I have to fundraise again, and I had to do this video tonight that I found very difficult because I don't like asking people for money. I don't like doing that. And again, it's just the working class and the poor that put into. I've done it myself out there and donated to people, you know. So I know how everyone is struggling, but I'm at the point where I have no choice to fundraise again, and I'm sorry to everyone that I have to ask. But I want justice.
Don't apologise for asking. You're not asking for you. You're asking for justice for
I know. One sec, sorry. Justice for my son, George and Harry, but for everyone else, because I believe I can set a precedent. I know where I have to go to. I've been learning the law over the last 4 years myself. Well, let's call it legal because it isn't law. So I've been learning legal law for the last 4 years, but I'm under no illusion that I can't go in there and be there by myself. I'm not naive enough because they will switch jurisdictions. They will know the legal law better than I will. So I do have to take a particular man in there with me, which costs a lot of money. Unfortunately. But I believe I can do it. I don't believe it's a chance. I don't believe it's 50-50. We have too much evidence of what they did. Too much evidence. And I know what court I need to go to.
Do you have the link for the first part of the documentary, just so for those that might not have seen it, so have a look at some of the evidence that you have gathered against the police?
Yeah, in the first, in the part one of the documentary that we put out, we put enough in there for people to know and to question the media and the police's version. Yes, Harry, they've changed it to a donor one now, a donor box now. So that's changed. So I can get the link sent to you on that anyway. Thank you. Where was I at? Oh, yeah. So part one, we put enough in there just to show the people in this country to question the narrative that was pushed to them through the media and from the police, especially the media that weekend, who kept describing it as a crash, kept describing it as going into a bus stop, you know, and all these conflicting stories. If you go back and read them, although they're trying to hide it now. Of course they are. So they're trying to hide the story. It's like the road itself, Shepperton Lane, in the last 4 years has changed so much. There's been lampposts taken out. There's been posts at the Esso garage taken out. Yeah? Because although roads do change, we can say roads do change. A lot of it is intentional to make the road look different. Yeah?
Of course, they said the children were standing by a bus stop, which wasn't even in use at that time of night because it's only used in school hours for school children. Absolutely. So why would they even be standing there? They were walking along, you know.
Yeah. Well, they was going to a party that was just ahead of them. They was near to safety. Our children wasn't chosen who they are. You get a lot of people say, well, you know, questions like, well, what did they know? Did they know something? Did they see something? Were they known to the police? Were they this? Were they in a gang? No. Our children were just ordinary boys on their way to a 16th birthday party. They was not chosen for who they were. It was whatever children were on that perfect on and off pavement, because that's what it was. It was a perfect on and off at that moment in time. There was 5 children on there, and that car aimed for all 5. And if Harry, the 5th child to be hit, didn't have landed on the bonnet and blocked his view, there was another 3 children walking towards.
Sorry, Harry, the 3rd child to be hit, was he?
No, the 5th child.
The 5th child, right.
Yeah.
I see, yeah.
The first 2 got knocked to the side. Yeah, the first 2 got knocked to the side. Then the car hit George. Then the car went on and hit my son. And then the car hit Harry. And Harry was the 5th child, and he landed on the bonnet of the car. And, you know, our children suffered terribly, you know, terribly. The police, as I've told you before, and a lot of people know, said to us on the Monday that they all died instantly, and they didn't. 2 were still alive for nearly an hour, and they lied about that. One of them being my son. Harry was the one who died instantly. And if anyone on here goes and finds BBC Newsnight, where they done a hit piece on us, lying, of course, you will see Katie Razzle go to the scene of our boys and say the opposite to that. She will say 2 died instantly, calling it small mercies, and 1 didn't. No, it was the other way around. Yeah, everything they've said is a lie, and everything I've said for the last 4 years is the truth.
I think one of the really sad things about this is that they were on their way to a party. A lot of their close friends saw what happened, and you know, one of the things that's always touched me is I know the other children, knowing that the parents were on their way once they'd been informed of what's happened, they actually tried to tidy up the horror scene a bit to make it a bit more easy on the parents.
Yeah, that was after. First of all, 1 paramedic arrived at the scene, which I can also see on the CCTV. It was a car, and obviously the kids were screaming. Lots of kids come out of the party, and these were all friends. Yeah, so it was their friend's 16th birthday party. Everyone knew each other. 1 paramedic car turned up, started to get whatever they needed to get out of the car, but obviously it wasn't enough. The kids were screaming, asking why they're not trying to help their friends, but obviously it's 1 paramedic. So the kids went to the back of the car and were pulling out all of the medical equipment for the kids. There was someone there that wasn't even a paramedic or anything like that, putting oxygen on George, then going over and putting oxygen onto my son. And the very next day, there was a witness who went and done a witness statement the very next day, because they couldn't do it at the time because they were so traumatized. And the next day, when they went to do this witness statement, and this particular, I'm going to call them person for a moment, this particular, because I don't want to identify whether they're male or female, yeah, just in case the police are listening like they do to all my live feeds. Went to do a statement the next day and said to the copper that conveniently was one of the coppers who were at the scene the night before as well. Bit odd that they're working that night and they're still here at 1 o'clock the next day. They went to do their statement and they said about 2 of the boys still alive, and that copper said to them, "You can't say that. You can't say they were still alive." He didn't want him to put that in his statement.
So you know what? Although I've known you some years now, Trace, and it's every time I talk about it, I learn something different. You know, I don't mean. I just mean something else dawns on me about it all. You know, and it's the sheer horror of what happened that night. You know, it's destroyed 3 families. It's destroyed their lives, really. You know. But not only them, but all these youngsters, they were 16s and 17s, 15-year-olds, some of them, I suppose. It was a girl's 16th birthday party, you know, and she's never celebrated her birthday since. Not that I know her, but, you know, I spoke to the people that do, and so have you, and we know this, you know, the horror, the terrible effect that this has had on a lot of people, you know, the friends and the families, the friends of, you know, because when we go to the anniversary of that, and we light candles and we put flowers and, you know, and just try and make it nice and remember the boys. They turn up still, these friends, and they're all grown up now. You know, they're all, some of them are 6 foot odd, and they're all in their 20s now. I think 20s and upwards. So, you know, I'm affected by that too, and this is why. Let's get back to why we did this feature. Like this is why it's so essential that you do fight this in every way you can, including going to court. Are you still there, Trace?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. And this is why you need to go down that avenue. You have to take it to them any way you can, and the best way is through the law courts. You know, like I say, I don't know if that can be successful or not, but it's sure as hell worth trying, you know. And,
Well,
and for the sake of those 3 children, for the sake of the families, for the sake of all the friends that saw the horror, but also to, like you'd say, set a precedent and just help prevent this kind of thing from happening, or when it does, that it doesn't get overlooked, or they don't cover it up for some political reason or other. You know, justice has to be seen to be done in this case, and in every case where this kind of thing happens, because it happens all too often, and it often goes on underreported. You know, so that's why I feel it's important. That's for me. You know, it's way too important. And it's a shame that people made you feel so bad when you started out campaigning. You didn't know what to expect. You couldn't have known, nor did I, whenever I first went out and got involved in campaigns, what the level of hate that would be directed at us, as well as other people that are genuinely fighting causes and campaigns, you know, for justice. So it's for all of them. You know, let's do what we can. I mean, for my part, I can only donate a couple of quid, but that's something. And then if enough people donate even £1 or £2, if enough people do it, it builds up, you know. And that for me, I ain't got a lot of money, you know that. But if I donate £1 or £2 to things, then that's a help. And if a lot of people think that way, it helps, you know. £1 or £2 isn't much of a loss, is it? You're not even spending the price of a pint. You know, it's not the price of a meal, you know, but it all adding up can really help to serve a purpose, an extremely important cause, you know.
Yeah, well, like I said, I want justice for the boys, but I also want to set a precedent so this stops happening to the working class and the poor, the ones that don't get legal aid, because there's so much corruption. Like I've always said during the last 4 years, our boys are not an isolated case. They're not an isolated case. And
there is no representation in these matters for working class people. There's nothing there for them, no financial assistance. So anyone who wants to fight a campaign has to really go through the mill and work hard to do so, you know. And if you're doing something like that on the back of a death, a loss, especially one where they've been taken from you, like murdered, you know, that makes it all the harder. So people give up either at the first hurdle, or eventually they just can't take it no more. And that's what they do. They make it nigh on impossible for people to stand up to these injustices, especially when they're working class poor people, you know. So this is just another reason as to why we need to stick together, the working class, the poorer people, and even a lot of the middle class as well. They suffer injustices too. I don't want to make it too much of a class thing here. All we're talking about here is some people
can't afford
the financial campaigns, you know, and others can.
I'm talking about the funds here, Mark, yeah, on the class level. Yeah. I'm talking about the financial.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is why we need to fundraise, you know, because there is no other avenue to take. Like I say, they destroyed you financially almost at the outset, you know, and they've done that by taking away your business the way they could. And it's shocking and disgusting thing to do, that you've lost a son, you're trying to support the rest of your family, and they do that to you just to try and interfere with your campaign. They would make your whole family suffer even more than they were already suffering. You know, I feel nothing but hate, you know, and I don't like to use that word. I feel nothing but hate for the police, for all the people that partook in this cover-up of the 3 boys, you know, because they're the same people that have done this time and time again to others long before this incident and since, you know. And we've seen how they treat us. They treat us like we're vermin, like we're the scum of the earth, just because we're asking for justice for 3 children, you know. And I'm sick and tired of their scumbag, low-life tactics and these little worms, these maggots that they send our way. Half of them are sex offenders, the people that have trolled you, you know. Yeah. When I've checked them out, they've got records for sex offences. These people don't care about children's causes. They're abusers, a lot of them. You know, they send the scum of the earth at you. You know, and just how can, you know, I'm a tolerant man in a lot of ways. You know, I've been very tolerant towards the police even. You know, they've come around here too, forehanding into my home, you know, asking me, why do you do all this? Where do you think it's going to get you? You know, things like that. And my response to that was, do you only fight something when you know you can win? We don't know if we can win or lose this, but at least we've got the courage to stand and fight, you know? And like I say, I don't fear them no more because, you know, the things that happen in the world at the moment, the way they're treating people, especially the middle and lower, you know, working classes, it's I've just seen so much, and so much has opened my eyes, you know, and it's through knowing people like you and being involved in campaigns against injustices that my eyes have really been opened, because that's when you see the lack of mercy on the part of the state and the state operatives. You know, they are merciless and they don't care what they do. They are so cruel. They are so cold. You know, so you have to be a fighter. You have to fight them. You know, and it's like you said, they block you at every avenue, especially financially, because that's the one I think if you can get the money together to fight them in the law courts, then you become a real threat to them. And that is, I think, right now the best way, and probably the only way to go. You know, there's lots of ways you can campaign, but you have to put them through the courts. You have to use the law, the real law, you know. So I just hope people are listening. I hope this gets shared, and I hope people are willing to help, you know, because I will trust you implicitly. And I know that you'll account for all those, any spends, and you'll give honest accounts of how much money's been received and what it's being used for and when it's being used. I know you'll do all that. You know, that's not something I need to discuss with you. You know, you will give accountability to the people that have donated, you know. So I just wish you all the best with this. I can't do anything with this. You know, my hands are tied. I don't have the money. If I had the money, we'd have done this long ago, you know. And yeah, I've always felt helpless, and that's why I said to you earlier, you know, I've always wanted you to just go ahead with the raising of funds as best you can, you know. But I don't know if GoFundMe is the best one, because we saw what happened with Trudeau in Canada.
Yeah, it's not. It's a donor box now. We did start off with a very close friend of mine who I trust, who holds the Excel sheet anyway to the funds raised in 2018. So she kindly had an account that we could use. So then she can just transfer it straight onto the Excel. So I didn't want to hold it myself because I don't want to be put through what I've been put through the last 4 years. Now I can take name calling. Name calling doesn't bother me, but that did bother me just because of the type of woman I am anyway. But like Danny said earlier, it was state harassment. That's how they do it. You know, I remember going in a DFLA group one day, and you're talking about 60,000 followers in there, and there was a woman posting in there saying that she'd give me thousands of pounds, and it was a total lie. And normally I ignore it, but I wasn't ignoring it, so I replied to her. And I said, right, can you tell me now where you donated? Because you've given me nothing. I don't even know who you are. She never responded again. But when these people are just going in groups, writing things like this, and no one else knows, unfortunately, people believe without evidence. You get people who look for evidence, and then you get people who just listen to what someone else said. You know, and that was causing a detrimental effect to our cause, because I was fighting so much. When I first come out, I thought I would just be fighting the justice system and the police for what they did regarding our boys, but it's not. I'm fighting people that look like us, sound like us, speak like us, create movements and pretend they care for the children and do not at all. And then I see them trolling me in the background and saying he said, she said, you know, and no one comes up to you when you're out on the street and says, like, did you say this?
Yeah.
You know,
I'll say one thing for you, though, Tracy. You know, I know why you came under attack now. I've sussed out how it all works. You know, you never allowed anyone to control you. And this is what they do. They send people out there, Shields. They let them have a big platform. That's how you know who they are. It's pretty easy to see, you know. because they're the ones who are allowed massive platforms, but they tend to just lead everyone pretty much nowhere. They go around in circles and to dead ends. But when people try to control you, you didn't stand for that, because you wouldn't be told how to conduct your campaign. Hence, I wouldn't ever have told you how, go and raise some funds. I wanted to do it, but I thought that you might take offence to that, because you seem to have your mind made up. But look, we know how it works. You've got these people leading movements that work for the establishment, and they make sure that these movements go nowhere, that end up in a dead end. And if you don't allow them to control you, then they just set out to destroy you, and that's pretty much what's happened to you. You've got leading members of movements who sent their stewards at you, and directly police operatives as well, and police stool pigeons have been sent at you as well to infiltrate, and they've done everything to you. They've done everything that they've damaged. They've attacked you financially. They've character assassinated you. They've lied about you, just blatantly lied about you, and they've covered up the truth. They've done everything, every kind of damage that they could do to anyone, and somehow you've come through that. You're still here, and you're not only here for yourself, you're here for other people. There's a lot of people out there that I'm sure noticed that, that we can talk about these scumbags all day long, but there are people out there who have been a good support. They've been amazing, and there are some wonderful people out there. We acknowledge that too, and there are also those who was lied to about you and believed it at first, but have actually changed their minds and realised the truth for themselves. So fair play to them, and I know it's a small number perhaps, but some have actually even apologised to you because they believed the wrong thing and they listened to the wrong people. So there is that kind of thing does restore my faith in people. People are good in general, but they get lied to, they get led astray, and it's hard. It's hard to know what the truth is, especially when people first join a movement, first want to be involved in a campaign. They don't know who's who or what's what, and it caught me. It knocked me sideways when I realised the level of infiltration and police operatives and government agents, call them what you like, that they've got every kind of scumbag in there. I just wasn't ready for that. I got to admit, I was naive, but now I've seen it for what it is, and like I say, I'll stick my two fingers up to them. I've got no fear of them or the police or anyone. I'd rather stand by someone like you, who I know standing for the truth, and I know who will see it through. All you want and all you need is people to back you up, because this can't be done just by you. And we already have enough numbers out there. People are saying, oh, we need more numbers for this and more numbers for that. No, we have the numbers. What people need to do is act. And I'm not saying it unlawfully. There's lawful ways of acting. There's lawful ways of campaigning. And, we've all allowed ourselves to be distracted and pushed around and bullied and God knows what else. And we could have, from the start, we could have thought this differently. But, that's in hindsight. I'm talking in hindsight. Right now, I think you've made the best decision moving forward. And I think a lot of what we did before, although our hearts were in it, we were pretty much banging our heads off the wall, because they pretty much laughed at it all. And they've just dragged us through courts. They've made our lives misery. And they've made it miserable for your family too, as well as you, So that's all I can say. That's why I feel so strongly. I've got absolutely no time, no respect or anything left for the likes of the police, and the courts, to be honest with you. I've been through enough court cases to see how weak and fallible the justice system actually is. It's all corrupt. We know it's not even lawful what they do. They're treating us all as dead at sea. They're using maritime law, which isn't the law of the land. So it's all fraudulent. We are living under a fraudulent government, a fraudulent governance, and people are accepting it. And a lot of people are accepting it through naivety. They just don't know. But once you do know, you can't just sit there and ignore that. We don't, these people don't own the world. They don't own anything. That they're making us pay through the nose just to survive. There was a time you didn't have to pay tax just for a fishing rod. Soon enough, you'll need pay tax for a bicycle. They're just taxing everything.
Well, that's what carbon tax is.
Well, let's have it right. It ain't.
Yeah,
Sorry, you
that's
went
what
all funny then. We're right.
yeah, no, it froze you because obviously you were saying something that wasn't liked. Yeah, but that's what carbon tax is, and people don't realise carbon tax is taxing the man. And when I say
Yeah,
man,
yeah,
man is man and it's woman. Yeah. We're made of carbon. Yeah. 6 electrons, 6 neutrons, and 6, what's the other one? Protons. Yeah.
yeah.
That's what's made up in our body. And that's what carbon tax is, because they mock us all the time. And, people don't see that. And I get that. This is just what you learn when you delve deeper into everything. Because, like I said, there's a lot of people out here that are here to fool people. And it's easier to be fooled than to tell someone that they've been fooled. I was fooled a lot in 2018. And there's no shame in that, because some people are very, very convincing in what they tell you. I've held grand juries with regarding our boys' case and got 12 out of 12, but that was a wrong path. That was a path leading me down a dead end. Yeah. So all these things are here to stop people finding out the truth, because the truth is so small when we live in a world of deception and lies. If you look at the stories that changed laws, yeah, and know that they control everything, there's so much you've got to research. Research is the key. Due diligence is the key. And even research what someone's telling you something that sounds credible. Research it, even if it sounds credible and you think, oh yeah, they must be right. Research that, because I've been there. I've been fooled myself. Yeah, come
Yeah.
out.
We all have. You know, like I say, things trigger people to go out and campaign. They just don't wake up one day and say, I'm going to campaign just because I don't like the government. No one, it's all due to experiences, our personal experiences, and what we see others go through. And some people are more susceptible to picking up on that and knowing that something's wrong and wanting to go out and campaign. Or people like you came out as a direct response to something that happened to you, to your family. For me, I'm one of those people that just saw, looks, there's a lot wrong here. I suppose I went through this system as a child and an adult, through care homes and institutions. But so that woke me up anyway. But there's a lot of people out there suffering. Is the point I'm making, and that's the people that are awake, because they see how the system works, how it's failed them, how it's failed people they love or care about, and that's why they go out and campaign. There's lots of good people out there, but what they do, they put these shills in a leading position, and they give them the platforms and all the backup and the financial help on the quiet, and they let them control the movements and mislead the movements, and I keep saying that because I want to drive it home to people, instead of worshipping heroes, look at the people that have been damaged, the ones that are actually out there campaigning for real reasons, not someone who's just come along who professes to know it all and has all the answers and wants you to buy their book. They've all got books, aren't they? They're all selling books. But like you said, you shouldn't have to pay for the truth, and people shouldn't be in that position, your position, where they have to ask other people to help donate. Shouldn't have to be in that position. There needs to be something in place that protects people. Our government is supposed to protect us. They never do. They never ever protect us. In fact, they deliberately make our lives hard so that we can't ever really, we're never going to have an enriched society where everyone's safe and well off. We could have, because there's plenty in the world. There's enough for it to go around for everyone. Yeah, I'm not saying that like a communist might say it. You don't need to live on certain rules under a police state and God knows what else, and keep a certain section of society down, just so that other people can live in perfect harmony, in some high society. But, that's what we've got. And we are, to me, we're already living under a communist police state. That's how it feels to me, because we've got no say and we're always struggling and we're always suffering. And people that's many people, So get out there, Trace. Let's get out there. Let's try and fundraise. We know they'll come at us. We know what they'll do. They've done it all before. In fact, it might be interesting if they thought of anything new, because it's the same old, isn't it? Always the same old system of how they deal with people that go out and campaign, how they deal with grassroots movements. It's always the same system. They work against it, you know. But this is just a time for us to just go against the grain. Yeah, we've tried to go with the grain, haven't we? We've tried to do everything right. I'm not saying we're doing anything wrong, but I mean,
Well, with regards to the boys' case, I have followed every process in the background.
yeah,
I
exactly.
followed every process of theirs.
That's what I say when I mean we've gone with the grain, and we've gone with the, you know, people attacking us as well. We've listened to people attacking us, right? We've made that mistake. You know, let's have it right, and we've let that put us off. We can't do that no more. You know, I want to swear. I'll try not to swear on your feed about what, you know, when I start thinking about these people that have done the damage they've done to you. We just can't afford to go that way no more. I don't like the fact that you felt shame and embarrassment at asking for help. Sometimes you have to ask for help. You know, don't get me wrong, I'm one of the worst for it, but your case, your situation, I feel that you've had no other choice whatsoever, and it's been long in coming. You know. So, like I say, I'm just hoping people see it for what it is and try and help you with your campaign financially. And, you know, I believe you've got some good people that are close to you, people that won't ever let you down. At least you've got that as well, you know. But it's a battle for all of us, Trace. You know.
Well, exactly, and that's another reason why, like I said all along, this hasn't just been about Josh, Harry, and George. And that's why I came out onto the streets, because I knew what they'd done to our boys. I knew our boys weren't an isolated case. How could I not come out and tell the people of the country this? And it's funny how so much is hidden, which we now know anyway. But the stuff I saw back in 2018 and all the demos and everything else, I didn't even know they were there. I come across people that have been demonstrating since the 1980s. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe the things I was seeing. I couldn't believe the things I were hearing. And I couldn't believe what I was in and how he was treated. And I wouldn't want any family to go through what we've gone through, or any children to go through what our boys went through. And we shouldn't have to do what we do. I shouldn't have to be here on this live saying that I've now got to continue fundraising because to get to where I need to get to in that courtroom. And unfortunately, I have to do that. And I have to accept that, you know, and put my pride to one side, which has been very hard to do. Hi, Lodger.
Well, you know what? Well done, because it took you a long time. It took you a matter of years, you know, so that's how difficult the decision has been for you, you know, on the back of a load of misery. Everything you've had to go through, you know, and all that, you know, and people need to understand that you would never want anyone else to go through what you're going through and to be in your position. I don't think many people out there would be strong enough to conduct themselves in the way that you have if something like that had happened to them. I mean, I'm trying to think if it happened to my child, you know, would I be able to go about it the way you have? You know, you rightly deserve any respect you get, Tracy, because you stood up and fought for these boys, I think, more than anyone, you know, more than anyone out there. But in saying that, there's a lot of people that really care and love those boys, and they've all suffered terribly. So it's just as well that you've had the fortitude to do what you've done and to stay in the fight. And I know, you know, I'm probably only one of the few people that's ever seen you cry, you know. That's how you put yourself out there. You show fortitude, you know. That just makes me respect you all the more. At the end of the day, I've not known many people that can go through what you're going through and deal with it the way you have. And to be treated the way you have by certain people that profess to care about children and to be involved in children's movements even. You know, this is how you know that the state is involved in the movements, and they've got their, like I say, every kind of scum in there, you know, messing it all up for those genuine campaigners and those people who genuinely care and those people that have genuinely suffered and are trying to make a change. So, all I can say is fair play. I'm glad you're doing it. I think you will get donations. I think people will help. Like I say, there's plenty of good people out there. When you get out there and campaigning, you meet the worst of them because they're sent at you. But there's plenty of good people out there who I'm sure will help in any way they can. Even those ones who put a pound in. So what? Thank you. We're grateful for every penny. So
I'm grateful even if someone can't donate. I want people to know that their support is just as valued as a donation, because we do all know how difficult it is and how everyone is suffering their own different ways with everything that's gone on. Well, I wouldn't even say over the last few years, because there's been a lot going on for a long time now. Just more is coming to light now. But we can do this, people. I know I have to ask for your help, and many of you have supported our boys and loved our boys. You haven't even met our boys, and I know a lot of you, you love them, you support them, and you have done 4 years, like you do, Mark. You never met my son or George or Harry, but you've always been there for them, like many others have that are on this feed tonight. And I can't thank you enough for that. And look at Hillsborough. I don't want to be doing 26 years or 29 years like those poor families had to go through. I don't want that. I'm going to be part of that team that fights this in that court, the court I need to go to. I'm going to be part of that team, people, and that's why I've learned legal for the last 4 years. But I know I just can't do it on my own. And I know there's pieces of documentation that we need to take into court with us, because they will play a game, won't they? If I bring an expert that's got 24 years in whatever their expertise is, they're going to bring someone in that's got 25 years. That's how they're going to play their game.
Yeah, they bring in experts. That's what courts do.
The eyes.
To debunk anything you say. Yeah.
Well, exactly, right? But the eyes don't deceive what we can show them. But unfortunately, like I said, what we need to show them costs a lot of money to make. And I wish I could tell you what that is, but I can't, because obviously I don't want them to know how I'm coming in at. So I'm very grateful to all your support, as always, coming watching these lives, sharing. Anyone who donates, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. But anyone who can't donate, please, I truly understand that. And you are valued just as much as someone who does donate. You are valued. So thank you, everyone. I think we need to end it now. Thank you for joining.
It's been a good hour. Yeah, it's been a good hour. I just want to finish as well by thanking people for listening. We're grateful for any support, whether it's financial or just support. If you can share stuff or offer any advice, if you're expert in any field that might be useful to the Three Boys case, that's something that Tracy was just talking away there, and it made me think. There's lots of ways to support things, and when it comes to court, they will use experts against us. So there might be people out there who could help us, who are experts in certain fields, especially when it comes to making documentaries. I know you've done a lot of the work, but you never know. There might be future documentaries necessary. There might be more of that needed. But I don't want to go on too long. Like I say, thank you, everyone.
I think we've shown enough. We have to be very careful of the evidence that we put out, because if we don't need, we've got like such a big piece of evidence for court. It's massive.
Yeah.
And we can't give we've given out so much. But if we give too much, that will be used against me in court, because they will say it is in the public domain. And it can't be used. So
you're more clued up on that than me. But, I thought, as long as you're not making any accusations or bringing anyone's name into it, and you're talking about evidence, I think you can pretty much say what you like. But I might be wrong, so just go with what you know.
You can't. They look what they done with Hillsborough. Was it Hillsborough they did it, where they trapped it out on a technicality? They will use a technicality. They will use anything they can, because you know, the police have got their claws into the justice system. They've got their claws in it. We know, I think many of us know how it works. A lot of these people, high up people, are blackmailed. Yeah, they're blackmailed. That's how they do it.
The police are just joeys. They're just henchmen. It's other people I blame. You know, the police should do whatever they're told to do.
Yeah, well, we know they follow orders and they can question orders. The frontline police can question an order. Yeah, and they shouldn't follow an order if it's morally wrong. But unfortunately, they are. And then they're the ones that have to realise that if they get taken to court, it's them who get taken to court that followed that order. Yeah, and well, to me, sorry, one sec, Mark. To me, my son's been murdered twice. Once by those in the car, and once by those that covered it up. That's how I feel. The police should have been doing an investigation as soon as that happened. But like I said, I believe they knew beforehand. But I can't talk much more on that. There's stuff I can't talk on. But that will come out once I can get into court.
Yeah, well, one thing we know for certain is we can't rely on the police to ask the questions that they need to be asking, because they've done nothing but stamp all over us throughout this campaign.
Well, they've covered my son's murder up, knowingly as well. Knowingly. Yeah. Many of them knew, many of them.
And they've put intelligence on you and the people close to you as well. It's like I say, why do MI6 need to deal with people like us? What are they meant for? They're not meant for people like us, you know. Anyway, look, Trey,
MI6,
I could get wound up talking about the police.
Yeah, I know, but I'll just say this with regards to MI6. Mark is it correctly right, because obviously I've never done a live feed on this, but MI6 arrest all those around me. They even drove 6 hours. Do you remember I done that live feed a couple of weeks ago? I don't know if any of you saw it in here. Sorry, Medusa, please. I think people just want to listen. I do appreciate your commenting. But you keep putting a lot of the same things in, which then looks more like you're trying to plug something. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, I did a video, didn't I, at Lambeth, where it was the building where the 999 calls were transferred that night. That building also hosts a completely different team in that building. That building had a lot to do with the cover-up regarding the murder of my son. And it's people from that building, I won't use their names yet, people from that building that have been involved in the rest of the Yellow Vests, that have also driven 6 hours to arrest one of my dear friends. 6 hours they drove. And as you know, there have been ones involved in interviewing you, interviewing James, anyone who's connected or speaks regarding our boy's story. It's MI6. And then you have to question, because MI6 is external. MI5 is meant to be, that's all right, Medusa, that's fine. MI5 is internal, counterterrorism and all that in the country, and MI6 is external, outside the country. So why are MI6 following everything we do, being involved in all the interviews, being involved in the arrests? And that's what's going on, people. And I know you didn't know that, so Mark's let you know that tonight. So I've just finished on that. So thank you everyone for joining us. Mark, thank you for joining me tonight. As again, thank you, Lodge, as well, for saying that you will donate. It's so appreciated. I think it was Susan further up. Yeah, just check tomorrow. If it didn't work, Susan, just private message Fighting for Justice, and then I'll sort it out. I don't really know how to do it all at the moment. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you being on tonight, and appreciate you listening, and appreciate your support as always. Thank you, Mark.
Well, thanks, Tracy. Thank you, everyone. Take care, Trace.